And so while I was in the aerospace department, I gained a lot of experience with experimental work. So I developed experience with mechanical characterization techniques like a digital image correlation. And I also applied myself to these design projects where I designed and constructed a impact tester to test wave propagation through these functionally graded metamaterials. So I developed a lot of my experimental background while in the aerospace department. And after I finished my master's, I got into the PhD program in mechanical engineering. And while in mechanical engineering department, I developed a lot of my computational skills, so finite element analysis. And so I feel like I have a good mix of both the experimental background as well as computational. I also did a 2-semester co-op at ANSYS. ANSYS is one of the leading commercial software companies for finite element analysis.
Did you work remotely or did you work at Pittsburgh?
I worked at Pittsburgh, yeah. This was back in 2016, yeah.
I used to work there. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, you worked at ANSYS?
Yeah, I was a development lead there before I joined the job.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hey, go ahead.
So I feel like I have developed a good mix of both experimental work as well as computational mechanics. And I would ideally want to be in a role where I get to apply both these experience. Like I'd like to be in a role where I can apply experience that I've gained in both these fields. And I feel like a structural analysis role, it would be something that I would be well suited for. Yeah, and also like structural analysis role is what I feel I'd be the best. Would be the best sort of place for me to be in. And I would. The other thing I would really like to, in terms of my career, is to be in a place where I'm able to do R&D, but in an industry environment.
So you're looking more on an industry position than going through a postdoc and become a professor sort of.
Yes, industry position. That's right.
Industry position. Okay. And what's your status right now? Are you graduate or you are about to graduate or what are you doing? What's your current?
I'm about to graduate.
Okay. So like you are finishing your thesis, something?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So you will be defending in a month or two. Is that?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good. Good. And other question I have for you is, I'm assuming based on the discussion so far, you plan to stay here and you want to continue with that sort of a R&D industry type of life and move ahead, right? Something like that.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Got it. And I mean, one question I have for you is, tell me top 2 companies that comes to your mind that you want to work for and what sort of a role would best describe you? Like, this is my dream job and this is what I want.
Top 2 companies. I don't know if it is realistic for me.
Given that's fine. Just tell me. I can tell you whether it's realistic or not. But well, you know, I want to understand your expectation, and then we can work out from there. You know what I mean?
Yes. So like SpaceX would be one of the top companies. SpaceX and Blue Origin would be either one I would love to work for. And JPL, I would kill to work at JPL basically. But but both, yeah. But the thing is, like, both these avenues have lots of restrictions when it comes to international students.
Right. So, you know, I can tell you my story, right? So I worked for Lockheed, and there is no way 10 years back I was in your situation, put it this way, right? 10 years back, yeah, 7, 8 years back. So I would say there's no way I could work in Lockheed without having a citizenship, which I have now. And that is the route that any international student has to understand. So if you say you want to work for SpaceX or companies like that in that category, right? It's not going to happen. And it doesn't matter how great you are. I mean, I'm not saying I shouldn't use that word, but considering we all are good intellectuals, it's extremely difficult, right?
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. So, I would say I don't discourage people, because I get a lot of emails in LinkedIn or emails saying that, hey, I saw this job at Lockheed, I want to apply. Usually I don't discourage them, but I tell them, with a grain of salt that, this can happen. It's
Yeah,
up to a person whether they want to waste your time and make a decision, right? So it's up to you how much. But I have not seen in my last 10 years of a career, and there's actually a YouTube video. Eventually I made, I asked one of the managers, can you talk about what you look for when you hire? There's a video on YouTube, I can send you the link. And he spoke in a length about what I seek when we hire people. And most important that I talk about, like, international students are really great. What's so he says bluntly, like, the problem is, we have restrictions. So even though the position says no security clearance or something, doesn't mean that they hired international student.
I see.
Same goes with Blue Origin, because there is a very common misconception that I also hear. Hey, this position doesn't have a security clearance, and it doesn't say we cannot hire international student. Do we hire? But I have not seen anyone.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
in my opinion, that is a waste.
Yeah.
About JPL, I would say it's a little different. Let me tell you why. So this is about SpaceX, Blue Origin, Lockheed, Boeing's, whatever. Especially if you are working on a defense project. Civil aviation is anyway going through a bad phase, so I don't know what's happening there. But JPL is a little bit different. The reason is because JPL is in between university and federal government. So you will find like a lot of students, international, working for JPL. But in my opinion, I don't think they work for JPL, even though they have an email for JPL, but I think they work for Caltech. They don't work for JPL. So
right.
In that case, I think if you are so interested in looking at that, I think you can still look at JPL and the postdoc positions at JPL. But if you ask me about the permanent positions in JPL for international student, again, I will be skeptical. But I see still there are chances, because I see a couple of friends I have, those were international students. I don't know what their status is, but they work there. So that's the case. Okay, second question I have for you. If this doesn't work out, what is the next thing that you want to work for?
So currently, I actually have I interviewed with Medtronic. Do you know Medtronic? So because they're looking for, they're interested in fatigue analysis, and my background, my PhD research, I have developed a picture for fatigue analysis.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, it looks like they will offer me, they're willing to offer me a job position at this point. Right. That's the latest email I got from them.
Okay.
And that is something.
If Medtronics offers you, I think it's a good company.
Yeah.
It's a good company. I have a couple of friends who work in Medtronics. I know people who work Medtronics, and I think everyone has spoken really good about that. I mean, right. Essentially, let me tell you, put it this way. Finding a job will not be a problem for you. Trust me. If you are thinking about, hey, what's going to happen if I graduate, I don't have a job. I don't know anybody, to be honest with you, from last 10 years or so, having a PhD and cannot able to find a job. It doesn't happen. The question actually really comes is what kind of a job and which company you want to have a job.
Right.
Whether are you going to love that job? I think that is the question.
Yeah.
Again, if you have 3 offers, that is a viable question. But if you have just 1 offer, I don't think that is even a question.
That's true. Yeah.
Right. So, I will go back to 2010 when we graduated. It was a housing crisis, and the market had crashed at the time in 2008, and we didn't have a job, all of us. So we went to do a postdoc. And I had a personal desire of becoming, going to academics and all that, but that ship was sailed. But what I'm saying is, you will eventually find your path.
Yes.
But if you are saying that, okay, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to figure it out. This is the company I want to land, and I want for the space program and all that. Then you have to build your resume accordingly, because if you're going to work for Medtronics and then do something, then you will become expertise of a certain technology, and then there's no going back.
Yeah, that I was actually about to ask you, is that switching careers
Switching
from one
careers,
industry to another is
yeah.
not viable, right?
No, what happened again? I go back with my example. So I started my job working for a fuel cell company, Rolls-Royce, and then I worked for ANSYS, which is a totally different industry. I was very lucky to land in such a way. But then I worked for a startup, and then I worked for a space company. So it's not like I didn't switch my jobs. I didn't work for different technologies. I think what happens is if you become a subject matter expert of, so for example, let me put it this way. If you work for Medtronics as a subject matter expert for high temperature alloys, as an example, then you will be valued in aerospace too. Maybe their temperatures will be higher. That's fine. But you will deal with that category of materials. You will see the problems are almost similar, and then you will be valued that way. But if you, let's say, if you go to, again, going back to this company, and then you start working on making biomedical devices or testing them, right? I would say then you really have to understand like what I'm learning and where is applicable. Then it will be a challenge.
Yeah.
Because, again, if your problems are same, and as you said, you can stay in a technology and become a subject matter expert. So when I was in a fuel cell company, I was a subject matter expert for high temperature materials. Still, I am a subject matter expert for a high temperature material. Doesn't matter, right?
Yeah.
So again, that's what you need to figure. You have to figure out.
But what if you have a background in computational, like FEA, like finite element analysis? Isn't it still applicable even if you're working on a problem that is unrelated?
It is applicable, but what happens is if you are an expert of a core industry, like for example a metallurgy where the guy is figuring out how to make materials versus, hey, I know computational or I know machine learning. I mean, to trust me, everybody can does that. It's not you have to find a niche area. That's what I'm trying to figure out. You cannot say I'm a subject matter expert of a computational material. That's not company don't hire based on that, because anybody more or less can learn an ANSYS program in a year maximum, right? And run that, and then you can run pretty much the problem. But if you're so for example in ANSYS, for example, when I was working, there were people who were writing codes, right? The backend people, right? Those are, to me, are the subject matter experts.
Yeah.
Right. But if you are just running a program to solve a bridge problem or aerospace problem or a fluid dynamics problem, that to me is different. You still can learn that.
Yeah.
More or less. So that's what I'm saying. You need to try to figure it out. What you are bringing is unique. Not everybody can do. Because a civil engineer who has done, I use ANSYS for solving structural problem. Actually, to be honest with you, can solve a structural problem in aerospace too.
Yes, that's
right?
True.
So that's what I'm saying is like, where you find your value. So, again, going back to the point is, if you have a choice, then I can understand. But if you don't have a choice and you are really thinking about, because as an international student, other worries, we have to worry about visa and all that. So there is not much leverage also, right? We are not those people where say, hey, let's see what we have. We don't have that leverage sometimes, right?
Yeah. Well, but tomorrow afternoon, I actually have an interview with ASML as well.
Yeah. So again, like, what I'm saying is, what my advice would be is, think through it, what you want to do in industry. There are a couple of things actually that are important in when you find a job. Number one, what kind of industry it is. So for example, if there is a job that is offered you from oil and gas, I would say definitely don't go there, because that's a downhill technology, right? People are talking about EVs and all that.
Yeah.
That's number one. So what kind of technology it is, that's number one. Because if, and all that, the second thing is that, does that technology saturated or it's up and coming? Again, going back to an example, if somebody is working on a combustion engine, that technology is done. People are talking about EVs, right? Again, if you're working for battery, or if you're working on um, um, you know fuel cell, or that sort of a thing, that's where you learn a lot of things. But if
Yes.
you are going to learn, go and work for an industry which is out there for last 20 years, what are you going to do, right? So at your stage, my strong advice is, go there where you learn, risk yourself, because that's the payoff. And that's the payoff. I got it. I risked my career quite a lot. I had a couple of offers when I joined a fuel cell business.
Hmm.
And I knew when I joined it, and when I asked, actually, when I went to interview at Rolls-Royce, I asked the manager, is, where do you think my career will land up in 5 years? And he said, I don't know either, my career, where I land up. And eventually what happened, after 6 years I worked there, the company basically laid off everybody. And we knew that was going to come, but those 6 years I learned tremendously, and that's helping me now hugely, because that's the payoff that you get. So try to take risk. This is the time where you want to learn. When you are in your 40s, that's a payoff time, but this is the time where you learn.
Right.
So, but if you're going to work for an industry where you are not learning much, all you're doing is the same thing that people have done for last 20 years, there's not much value addition. Trust me, 10 years down the road, you will be in trouble. Because
Yeah.
one thing you will realize is, lot of things that lot of opportunities that we get to learn is when we are in a grad school, and maybe 10 years after that. But after that, you don't learn, you give. So
Okay.
if you have not learned a lot, there is nothing to give, right? So what happened? You become obsolete and you're done. And
Right.
I can tell you numerous people who have gone through that phase, and then what happens is, in their 40s, 45, they can't find a job.
So
So
for a medical device company, what is your opinion about the state of the technology at the moment?
I mean, I'm not a medical device expert, but I think in general, medical device companies are, if you look at COVID, right, they started making ventilators also. Yeah, I think in general, I think it's a good industry. I don't think there's going to go through a phase. But again, my only problem with medical device companies is it enough engineering challenges are there? That's the problem I have with them. You can design, because, I'm since I probably my naivety also is because I don't know that industry, but I would say, as an engineer, what are the challenges there? Like, are there real challenges there as an engineer for me, or they are small here and there, like a design versus this and that? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's more of a design challenge at this point,
Right. So
and designing for a fatigue life, because fatigue is important for that application.
yeah, I mean, here is the thing: like, if you're designing a hip joint, or a joint for your knee, right? But as I said, people have been doing this thing for quite. It's not something like revolutionary. One thing I like about my job is because everything is extremely challenging. Like, you push your limits, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying when you talk about engineering challenges. You have to really push your limits. I mean, look at the JPL guys who landed Perseverance. That's a engineering marvel, right? You can't think better of that, and that's where you want to be. So that's why I'm saying, like, think through over it, with whatever risk you can carry in your career. Because I
Hmm.
won't advise someone, hey, don't take that job and risk your career. I won't advise that. With whatever risk you can take. But I can tell you for sure, if you go to a company and you find things extremely easy, they're not much to learn, after 6 months or a year, time to move on. That's for sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
I see. Well, when it comes to like time, yeah, that's a good point. But then I also need to worry about because if a company is willing to sponsor
Yeah, I
the
mean,
green card.
I told you, right, that like, one of the challenges with international student is we can talk too much, but we can't do too much too, right? So,
Right.
keep that in mind. With all that, keep that in mind. I mean, take a conscious decision. That's why I'm saying, like, a lot of people, then they don't go for a job. They said, let me do a postdoc. because there might be better things for me.
I see.
But again, can you take that risk? It's a personal choice.
Yes.
Like for example, if you get a postdoc at MIT working on some cool technology, that will be a low-paying job, but you will learning something amazing in hope that maybe you will end up in some amazing place. But can you take that risk? That's my point.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So again, these are the choices that one has to make, and and that's where the real thing happens. And my experience has been is the only way you land up in a good place is only because if you take a risk. Because even if, if I look at again, I'm not like praising myself or something, but as an example, I'm saying I don't know anyone as an international student who I have seen at Lockheed. Actually, I don't know anybody yet.
Okay. Yeah.
And I think that the only reason that happened is, first of all, you can say luck and all that also, but I took a lot of risk in my career. I have taken a lot of risk. I mean, there are so many dreadful stories that I can tell you that nobody will do that. So I mean, I would say that risk had a payoff. But do I advise someone to take that risk? I think it's personal.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I actually, the other option that I have in store is this startup company called Remora Carbon. I don't know if you've heard of them, but it's like they build these devices for carbon dioxide capture of
Carbon capture.
Yeah, carbon
What's
capture.
that company?
Remora Carbon.
Where is it?
It is a Detroit. It's a very small company. It's a startup.
Is it funded by like Bill Gates or something, or?
No, Chris Sacca.
No, not the CEO. Like the company is funded by someone?
Yeah, it's Chris Sacca. Do you know him? He's another one of those venture capitalists.
Okay. But this carbon capture is another one of the big things that is happening, to be honest with you. And I'm personally working in that area. So.
Oh, you are?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
I mean, what I would say, I'm personally interested in this topic.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this company would be more of a I guess risky option, but
actually, that was exactly my feeling was when I joined fuel cells. Exactly the same thing, because as I said, it was very risky, but dude, I can't tell you how much I learned. I learned so much. I mean, I had offer from Bose and another company. They make aluminum, Alcoa.
Yeah,
I think I'd made a good choice, because Alcoa was where you make aluminum. What are you going to do with that, right? And
right.
the other was Bose, which was okay, but they made speakers and all that. I'm like, what I'm going to do there? If I was an electrical engineer, probably I would be more excited. But they had they make some fatigue machines and all that. They were doing something on testing also. But I was not sure like what I'm going to do there. Again, that engineering challenge I was talking about. But this fuel cell company, oh my goodness. Every day was a challenge, actually, to be honest. Every day we were on our tippy toes saying that, okay, maybe we get fired tomorrow, maybe we try tomorrow. And that 6 year went out, and it was just fun.
Yeah. So yes,
I see their website. I think, as I said, it's a personal choice. But personally, my advice is, when you start your career, go there where there are challenges. Go there where you can have, where one of the good thing about what happens with the work when you work with startup is you wear different hats. Like you are sweeping the floor and you are giving presentation to CTO and you are talking to a vendor, you are doing supply chain, you are doing test in the lab, you are, doing everything. I mean, this is what exactly has happened to us at that time. And what happens is that gives you a certain level of confidence and makes you a totally different person. But if you get, let's say you get hired for Lockheed right away, you become very structured. No, this is what you do, and this is what you do, and this is what you do, and you report to your manager, and this is what you do. And you become very different, robot sort of a person, I would say.
Yeah.
I mean, both has is different, but again, SpaceX and Blue Origin is different. They are startups.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Tesla. So they work like a startup still. But if you work in a big company like GE and all that, you become very structured. And I'm not sure that as when you start your career, you want to be in that position. I think you want to be more challenged. And then I think in 40s, you want to go to a company like that where you get settled down and then deliver, because that's where you get more value also.
Yeah.
But when you start, you want to work in a company which is unstable, which is challenges, like you are doing so many things, like solving problems and this and that.
Right.
Like there is no limit there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And one of the things what happens also that you will find a value is when you work with a company like this, what you said, and a problem like that, you will still be working with a lot of professors on projects and this and that. And as a PhD student, you love that part also. I loved it too.
Yes. Yeah. So in general, like I haven't inquired about Remora Carbon yet, but in general, do you know if startups will sponsor H-1B visas?
You have to ask their HR.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but my case, when I joined fuel cell business, I had a green card.
Oh, okay.
Because
That's
I
good.
was doing postdoc and I had a green card, because there is no way they were even hiring me. But as I said, this is the risk that an international student has to carry, right? So you can say maybe I can work for my OPT for 3 years and this and that, but as you said, because here's the other way. One other way to look at it. Let's say if they offer you a H1, what are you going to do? Like, what's the plan? Like, why you are interested? That's my point.
Yeah.
Not working in OPT for 3 years.
Right. So, I mean, once they offer the H-1B,
what's going to happen?
Hopefully, from there, yeah, the green card is going to be.
I mean, you have to check the lawyer whether with an OPT you can apply a green card or not. My point here is, if you think having an H1 gives you a job security, that's not the case.
Okay.
Number one, because if you get fired, that H1 is obsolete. Okay.
Yeah.
And you will find a lot of people like that who had a job, fired, and went back to India, even having H1. It has no meaning, because in 60 days you have to go back. If you have a OPT, there are many advantages. One is you pay low taxes.
Mm-hmm.
That's that has a money value. I don't think it stops you to travel. Like if you, let's say, does it stops you travel to go back home? I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, but OPT is limited, right? It's a limited. You can you have 2 years of OPT with the extension.
Yeah, but that's one. No, it's I think 1 year OPT with 2 years of extension for a
yeah, sorry, right.
So you get 3 years, right?
Yeah.
And another thing, let me tell you, with OPT, you will have flexibility to move on and find another job anytime you want. Which H1 you have to carry about transfer of H1 and all that shit, right? So you are more control of your life. So again, I'm not sure like why you are looking for H1 sponsorship if OPT gives you a better option. There are many companies where they say we will sponsor your H1. I think that's the only time people say, okay, then I will take it. That's my point. Like if you work for Intel, they file your H1 no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, this company, Medtronic, has also said that they will file for the H1B.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They won't allow you to work on OPT.
Oh, okay.
That's my point. Yeah, but I think with a startup, you will have that flexibility because they have no idea what OPT and H1 is anyway.
Yeah, but then, so what happens if I'm solely working on the OPT at the end of the 3-year mark after my extension?
No, what I'm saying is you want to use your OPT as much as you can, and you can file in your 3rd year too. That's my point. Okay. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not like you have to file right away. You can file after a year, you can file after 2 years also. But use that OPT to the fullest, because H1 also has a 6-year period. Then you have to file the extension. So you can use your OPT and then get an H1.
Yes.
And then hopefully when you get your OPT, get a lawyer and file for a green card or whatever.
Yeah. Also, like EB1, EB1 and EB2 are options as well, right?
Yeah, with PhDs, you will have EB1, EB2 as an option, but those has become much and much difficult to get now. You can get it, but I am not saying that no, I'm not saying that it's you are not eligible. You are eligible as a PhD student to get it. I think only a lawyer can tell you whether how good your case is.
Okay.
Yeah, because I got my through EB1A because I was working at Oak Ridge and I had good credentials and everything. If you carry the similar credentials, if you have the same, because you know what happened is the difficulty of getting a green card, even with H1 has gone up, with EB1 has gone up.
Okay.
It has become much and much, the requirement has become more stringent, right?
Yeah.
So I can tell you, like, for example, I will be very honest to tell you, in my case, I had like 10 recommendations from all over the world. I had recommendations from deputy director from Oak Ridge. I had my citation was close to like 350 at the time, and this is like 2004, no,
Okay.
2014. Sorry,
Okay. Okay.
2013, 2014. What is the situation now? I don't know, but I assuming nothing has gone other way around. It has become a little bit more stringent. So I would say, like, if you have a good letter of recommendations, if you have really high citations, if your credentials show you are, I mean, look at the EB1 A or B category. They say if you have an Oscar or a Nobel Prize, that's what the category says.
Yeah. Okay.
Otherwise, you qualify like these 10 requirements and see where you fit in.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it has to be that good,
I see. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
again, I'm not the lawyer. A lawyer can only tell you by looking at your application and where you stand. But you're not the first one who's asking this question. I have a lot of students after PhD who had asked this question with a good citation, and they are having difficulty. So that's the information I have that I'm sharing with you.
Okay, I understand.
But
Yeah.
if you are thinking of applying for a green card, I would definitely tell you one question is, if you're thinking of it, start working on it today. What I need, what are the requirements? Start talking to a lawyer right now and say, okay, maybe 2 years down the road, I can apply, or 1 year down the road, I can apply. By the time I will work so much to build my credentials.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. So with the new administration, has there been any improvement in these?
I mean, there is an improvement for illegal immigrants. I don't think for legal there has been anything. I mean, most of these people, they talk about immigration, but I don't think anybody talks about legal immigration making better.
I see. I see.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are the challenges that you will find. And then there's no way if a company applies for EB2, that's going to happen, because it's a waste of time. Because for an Indian, EB2 means like 70 years.
70?
Yeah, 70.
Oh.
Yeah, for Indians.
Wow. Okay.
So you become a slave forever in that sense.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. If you have a master's degree, you never get, you're not going to get a green card. But a PhD, that's the thing, you can apply for EB1. So that's a good thing, having a PhD. One of the good things about doing a PhD is, if you want to stay here, you can. But with a master's, that's not possible.
I see. I see.
For China, students from China, Mexico, and India, because their representation is so high. So.
Right.
Yeah. Yep. Hope that helps, Ami.
Oh, it does. Yes. Thanks a lot. I appreciate your advice very much. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, any other question? Sorry, I was, extremely busy and couldn't get time. So I want to make sure that when I talk to someone, I have enough time and I'm in a mood to talk to someone, because sometimes it happens you are doing something and it doesn't help. You know what I mean?
Oh, no. Yeah, no, it's quite all right, because I had a pretty open schedule today, so no problems.
Yeah. So, any other question?
Yeah. So for me, like, the most realistic outcome would be path to green card would be continuing in a company with the H1B, and the company helping to sponsor the green card. Would that be the most likely or the easiest path?
Yes, absolutely. Also, I will tell you one thing. EB1A is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
EB1B is less difficult. So when a company applies for you, you apply through EB1, EB, E, E, EB1, yeah, EB1B.
B.
That's
Okay.
easier. EB1A is extremely difficult, which I did because you do on your behalf. Here, company does on your behalf. So the company has to be on board.
Okay.
Usually what they do is they want you to work for certain years and before they apply, because it's company's policy. Because what happens is a lot of companies has abolished that policies also. Because I know, I can give you an example. I had friends who work for Goodyear, the tire company. They have headquarters here. So I have a couple of friends here. There was a Turkish guy I was speaking to, and he said they applied for me, but now they stopped it.
I
So
see.
when you go to Medtronics, just check with them what's their policy on green card and all that. You can talk to HR.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your policy on green card and all that? Because as I said, they say EVIC will apply for EB2, but not for EB1. Because what happens is EB1 gets rejected quite a lot, so that doesn't give a good impression. So unless your case is extremely, extremely amazing, your manager is on board and HR is on board. That's what I hear, to be honest. Then they don't prefer that. Otherwise, what they do is they put you on EB1, EB1, EB2, and then keep doing extension, which is a usual case for anybody. And your extension is going to happen for the next 50 years.
Wow.
For
Okay.
H1B, yeah. I mean, you can Google it, how much time is going to take for an Indian citizen to become a green card for EB2 category. You will find that number, 70, 100.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because I think, it's crazy. Yeah,
Okay.
that's what happens is, that was the one thing that happens that scares a lot of people, is because what happens if you're in H1, you get fired.
Yes.
You are out.
Yeah.
You go back. Even after 20 years. There are many stories like that, right?
It has probably happened quite often now with the COVID.
Actually, this COVID, that lot of people have to deal with this, and they have to go back. Yeah, I talked to many people, actually, to be honest. I mean, there are students I spoke which worked for 5 years. A lot of calls that I received from India where they gone back and that call me what we should do.
Okay. So what was their recourse? Like what are their options at this point?
Well, I don't know.
No option. Okay.
I mean, you tell me, if you work for 5 years here and they lay you off, and then you had 60 days, you couldn't find a job, you have to go back. You're sitting at your home in Hyderabad, and somebody's saying, what should I do? I don't know what you can do. I mean, there are people who are saying, should we come back and do another master's? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but as I said, with PhD, that is not the case. You should be able to apply for EB1A, but that's again depends on company's policy. I can't tell you much, but I think this will be a good question to ask.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And also, like if a company says they're going to do EB2, can I personally also apply simultaneously for an EB1 also, or is that something that's not an option?
Lawyers can tell you that, but I don't
Okay.
see that as that's going to happen, because there might be some sort of a conflict. You know what I mean? It's not like they apply and you apply also. Yeah. But I think even if you're in a company and they deny it, they say we won't apply your EB1, you can always apply for EB1A.
Okay. Personally.
I mean, that's your choice.
I see.
I mean, for example, Oak Ridge said we never apply for green card. I went my own. And a lot of my friends did that, actually, to be honest. Everybody does that. I mean, I have 4 or 5 friends that I know who were postdocs at the time, and everybody did that. It's the same thing.
Okay. Yeah, I should also speak to an immigration attorney.
I think you should. They might be able to give you a better answer than what, because my recollection is 7 years old. You know what I mean? And then a lot of questions answer I have is from people that I talk like you or someone. They gave me some information, but I'm not an immigration lawyer, so I can't tell you exact situation. But find a immigration lawyer which is good. Maybe he takes like $200-300, but gives you good information. That's better than a free one which just revolves you around.